Fionna and Cake is a great example of a sequel series that does justice to an established beloved show, movie, or game. In an era where new Star Wars sequels and post-Infinity Saga MCU movies and TV series underwhelm us, Fionna and Cake lived up to the expectations set by a lauded series that preceded it, by which I mean Adventure Time, a great, wholesome, and often emotionally resonant animated show set in a vibrant and mysterious post-apocalypse with magic, monsters, and candy people. A show that follows the literal adventures of the human boy Finn and the talking superpowered dog Jake. And due to its deep world building that slowly reveals the mystery of its world, some emotionally deep character development, and an abundance of heart, Adventure Time is one of the most cherished animated TV series of all time. It's an exemplary experience and one that is properly revered as a true classic. This is why a sequel miniseries like Fionna and Cake is such a risk. After all, following up a terrific show like Adventure Time with a 10-episode miniseries could have potentially diluted our understanding of this much praised story, one that is synonymous with quality and butt jokes, but mostly quality. If anything, the show easily could have devalued the overall series, but thankfully this is not the case. Fionna and Cake is actually quite good, mostly because it respectfully follows up Adventure Time in a way that adds to the series' lore rather than subtracting from it, and Fionna and Cake mostly does this through its story and themes. Set a bit of time after Adventure Time's conclusion, Fionna and Cake is about, well, Fionna and Cake, alternate dimensional versions of Finn and Jake, with the key differences between them being that Cake is a cat rather than a dog, the duo are from the equivalent of a 21st century city, and that Fionna and Cake themselves are both gender flipped, i.e. they are girls, meaning that Fionna and Cake have similarities to the Finn and Jake that we know and love, but they are still their own distinct people that live in a different world. But on one fateful day, Fionna and Cake are accidentally summoned to the main Adventure timeline, see what I did there, by Simon Petrikov, a man who was once the superpowered and deranged villain, the Ice King, but is now a depressed aging genius, a man that feels immense grief over the loss of his fiancée Betty after, in Adventure Time's series finale, she transformed and merged into Golb, a powerful destructive godlike being that is the embodiment of chaos. Hence why at the beginning of Fionna and Cake, Simon tried to find Betty, or Golb rather, via a magical ritual, but unintentionally summoned Fionna and Cake instead, because when it comes to a seance, Simon should probably just leave that shit to the professionals. And with that, this accidental summoning of our gender-bent protagonist attracts the ire of Scarab, Fionna and Cake's equivalent of a dimensional time cop, causing Simon, Fionna, and Cake to travel through dimensions as they go on the run. Fionna and Cake works because it answers and posits many questions about the Adventure Time continuity in a way that complements the series' depthful thematic storytelling. In fact, it transforms Simon's grief over Betty and Fionna and Cake's need to bring adventure to their own mundane world into a thought-provoking narrative with themes about consent, unintentional selfishness, depression, burnout, and even the validity of fan fiction. If anything, this show has a lot going on in it, and Fionna and Cake broaches these layered topics with expert finesse. If anything, the show handles these themes with an abundance of care, and does so all while having a beautiful art style, terrific sense of humor, and fun character interactions. There's just so much to like here. It's honestly a great show, and while Fionna and Cake can only really be enjoyed by those who have finished Adventure Time as a series, which is a fairly long watch by the by, and its storytelling involving a multiverse is theoretically passé, given that the concept of the multiverse itself has been overdone to death in recent movies and TV shows over the past few years, Fionna and Cake plays around with an Adventure Time multiverse by showing the audience different what-ifs in the Adventure Time canon, all while crafting a multiversal narrative that complements the show's earlier mentioned deep themes. And for that, Fionna and Cake is both entertaining and thought-provoking in equal measure. It is a sequel series worthy of Adventure Time's legacy.